Good morning, boys and girls. Well, we are just a few days away from Christmas. Are you ready? Have you got your gifts wrapped? Are you waiting for Santa Claus? Wow, he'll be here in just a few more days, so you better be good and not naughty. Well, what are some family traditions that you do? What are some things that you do at Christmas, maybe with your family? Do you go to Grandma and Grandpa's house? Do you gather with the aunts and uncles and have fun with your cousins? What do you do at Christmas? You know, when we think about Christmas, we all have celebrate Christmas different ways. And sometimes I remember growing up, we all got together at my grandmother's house, and my cousins came in, and we always had such a good time. Now, this year things may be a little bit different because of COVID-19, but it's okay. We're going to get through this. Well, today I have a special book, and this book is called Christmas in the Country. Christmas in the Country. And this book is about a little girl who lives with her grandparents. Maybe some of you live with your grandparents, and you know that's a special time because grandparents are so wonderful. They're so much fun, and you know going to grandma's house and grandpa's house can be really a lot of fun. Now today we're going to be focusing, our craft is going to be several different crafts in which you can make, because back when this book was written, or when the little girl was thinking about her childhood, she actually made some Christmas ornaments. And you know, when we look at our Christmas tree, we have so many ornaments and things that are on our Christmas tree, probably things that were bought. But did you know that you can make ornaments to go on the Christmas tree? You can make snowflakes out of paper, just some regular paper, and I will show you how to do that. Then you can make a paper chain like this to go on your Christmas tree. And all this is construction paper with some green and green and red stripes, okay? And so we're going to work on that. Well, let's first of all think about Christmas, and let's read our book, okay? Maybe you did some of this with your grandmother and grandfather when you went to visit them. When I was a little girl, I lived with my grandparents in the country. Our house was small and white. It had an old coal stove to keep us warm, and a tiny little kitchen for supper, and a nice back porch for the dogs. Now what it's talking about here is a long time ago, people used to heat their house with a coal stove. Now this kind of coal, C-O-A-L, is the type of coal that comes out of the ground. It's a hard chunk of black stuff that people used to heat their homes with. And it kind of looks like charcoal that you grill with, except this was a lot harder. But it would come out of the ground, and people would use it to heat their homes. And they had a coal stove that they would put in there, like we might put wood in a fireplace, and they would burn it, and it would heat their homes up. So that's what it's talking about here. In the summer, I sat in the swing and ate fresh tomatoes and sang. In the fall, I helped can apples. In the spring, I took long walks with my granny. And in winter, I waited for Christmas. Wow. That's what we think about. When winter comes, we wait for Christmas, don't we? Shari's having a hard time turning pages today. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Pages won't stick together. Winter in the country is so quiet. The snow slows everything down. Birds are silent and serious. Dogs stay in their warm houses. Children want cocoa and blankets. Everyone is ready for something really special. Everyone is ready for Christmas. Look at there. Does that look like your house? With all the Christmas lights around and helping to decorate. My grandfather always got our Christmas tree from the woods behind the house. off he'd go with an axe, while my grandmother and I pulled out boxes of old ornaments from her closet, which smelled like wool and mothballs. I loved those ornaments. Some of them I had made myself. Hard foam bells glued with green glitter, red construction chains, which we're going to do in a few minutes. There were silver icicles and white glass stars and soft angels, even ornaments. Each ornament reminded me of my whole life. Grandfather always brought home a tree that was a little too wide and a little too tall, and we would have to spend the whole next few weeks squeezing around it in the living room. It seemed sometimes like an embarrassed guest, but we loved that tree and couldn't wait to turn on the lights at night. It was the prettiest thing we had. Ah, when you turn on the Christmas lights and all those beautiful colors, that's something special, isn't it? On Christmas Eve, my grandparents and I went to services at a small Baptist church at the bottom of the hill. I got to stand up front with the other children and sing Christmas carol for the grown-ups. Afterwards, each child was given a small brown bag full of candy and nuts and a tangerine. I gave my grandfather the tangerine because I knew he loved them. My grandparents and I walked home from church through the snow and into our warm little kitchen. We pulled off our wet boots and gloves and hung them near the stove to dry. Then my grandmother helped me write a note to Santa Claus while my grandfather rested. I left Santa a saucer of cookies and a glass of milk and the nicest note I could think of. Then I went to bed. And in the morning, when I woke, it was still a little dark outside and still a little shivery. And I went to my grandparents' bed and asked them to help me see what Santa brought. And they rose up from their warm quilts, and together we all went to the tree. Ah, you remember those mornings when you wake up to see what Santa Claus brought you? So much fun. Every Christmas, Santa gave me just what I wanted, a new doll. And he always gave me something else I hadn't asked for, and which was a surprise. A paint-by-number kit, a bear bank, a coloring book. His cookies were always gone, and his milk glass empty. I was glad Santa liked everything. I went to church again with my grandparents. Later, that Christmas morning, they let me take my doll. The service was short because the preacher knew everyone wanted to play with their toys and bake their hams. He just reminded us what Christmas was all about and sent us home. And all that day there were aunts and uncles and cousins knocking at the door, neighbors dropping off pies, and dogs barking at all the commotion and waiting for leftovers. That reminds you of your house and all the family gathered around, eating and talking and having a good time. My grandparents and I kept our Christmas tree for as long as we could, and then finally, after the new year, it was time to take it down. Grandfather hauled it out to the woods while my grandmother and I put the ornaments away. We swept up the needles and tinsel. Then we all had milk and a biscuit. Christmas in the country was over. There were spring walks and summer tomatoes and fall apples to look forward to now. But in the closet of wool and mothballs, there would be boxes of old ornaments waiting for the next year. Wow. You know, Christmas is a special time, and it's special with your ornaments. Now, I don't know about you, because you're probably a little bit young right now, but maybe you have a favorite ornament that you like putting on a tree. I remember when I was a little girl, I had an aunt that gave me a globe that had a snowman in it. And oh, I treasured that because she gave it to me off her beautiful tree. And for so many years, even after I got grown, I specially wrapped it in paper so it wouldn't get broken. And every year I put it on our tree. And I remember what special gift that was that my aunt had given me. And I treasured it so much until one day after I left home. I'm afraid that I had some nieces and nephews that weren't as careful as I was with it, and they broke it. So it was kind of bad. But you know, all the years that I have been as a teacher, I've had boys and girls over the 30-plus years to give me beautiful ornaments. And when I drag my Christmas tree out every year, and I put those ornaments on that tree, it's such a special time for me. Because I remember the children that had given me those ornaments, because I wrote their names on them. And after, it takes me a while to put my Christmas tree up, because I call it my memory tree. It's not always the prettiest tree in the world, but you know, it's my memory tree. Because as I take the ornaments out, I remember those special boys and girls that I taught. And I hang their ornaments on my tree and remember what good times we had. And remember them growing up. Of course, they're all grown now and probably have children of their own. But you know, ornaments can be very special. And it's really very special if you make them yourself, because that means you took the time to do something special. And it's something that you can treasure and something that your parents and grandparents can treasure, making ornaments and putting them on your tree. So why don't we make a few that you might like to take and put on your tree, okay? And so you can have a memory tree too. Well, we're going to start off making like a snowflake. Now all I simply did was I just took, and you can make this as big or as small as you want, we just took a piece of white paper and I made a circle. I took something round and I drew a circle and I made me a circle. Now we're going to take the circle and we're going to fold it in half, okay? We're going to fold it again, okay? Looks like that. And then we're going to fold it another time, okay? That's probably about all the times I'm going to fold it, okay? So we've made it like this. Now, it's up to you and the scissors how you want to cut this thing, okay? You can cut it any way you want to, and it's going to make a snowflake. You know, they say that no two snowflakes are exactly alike. It's kind of hard to tell. But anyway, we are going to make our own snowflake. Now, I'm going to take, and like I said, you can take this and you can cut it any way you want to. I'm going to cut a little indentation there. I'm going to cut a little circle. Woo! I'm making a mess. All right, I'm going to cut another circle maybe. Okay. And maybe on this side, I might cut a little indentation. Okay. Okay, now, that's kind of lopsided, isn't it? But watch what happens when we open it up. And it doesn't matter how you cut it. Look at there. Isn't that neat? And every one of your snowflakes that you cut is going to look very different. So you can take these that you make, you can just cut some round circles and fold them like I showed you, and then you can cut them, and then you can take them and hang them on your tree. And that will be a very special type of Christmas. All right, why don't we make some chains? Now, you know, we usually put garland and things like that on the tree, but why not paper chains? Now, a long time ago, and people still may do this, they put popcorn. They would pop popcorn, and then they would thread it with a needle and thread, and they would make long strings of popcorn and hang it on their tree. Of course, I had to take, I'm sure, a lot of popcorn popping to make it on a tree. But well, you can also make paper chains. And I remember as a little girl in classrooms, we used to make paper chains and hang them all over the classroom. Okay? So, all we simply did is we need some glue and we need some strips of red and green. Okay? Now let's see. Since I've started with a red here, then I'm going to take a green and I'm going to put a little bit of glue. My glue doesn't run away. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here, and then I'll take it and hold it just a moment. Maybe count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get our counting in today. And there we go. Okay. Now that was green, so now we want a red. So we're going to take a red strip, and we're going to put some glue on it. Okay. And then we're going to take it and press it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there we go. Okay. And maybe if we take, and you can just do this all day. You can do it for quite a while. And it's going to make a paper chain. So you can put it all over your tree, or you can hang it from the mantle. Do all kinds of things, okay? So we have started making a paper chain. All right, so that might be something else that you might like, you know? Or you can take a pine cone. Go out and find a pine cone and put some glitter on it or whatever. But there's all kinds of things. And as I said, you know, making your ornaments can be very special and make memories for you and your parents and your grandparents. I'm so glad you could join us. I certainly hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and enjoy being with your family. Bye.